How's it going, Ultra Warriors? Chris here with Cardano Games. We've got Mono Zero. It's only zero. Apparently, you have a thing for monotechs, only one heroes. That's not totally true, but I had someone ask me about my version of this deck, so I figured I'd make a video on it as well. So as you can tell, this deck is very 3-2 focused. We'll talk about a few things like why heavy 3-2 focus, why only 6 level 1s, and the scenes as well. So the key parts of this deck, really it's just this one. This character is, if he's a double or triple, you can give a battle opponent of one of your ultra heroes type armed, and then give a 0 that is adjacent, left or right, a BP grade increase. And that is such a powerful effect. We'll go over some combos after I finish talking about all the cards, but it is like an insanely powerful effect. It is part of the reason why we only play zeros in this deck, because if you play like other heroes or kaijus, when you have like you want to be flexible about where you can play this character. So if any of these units are a different ultra, they're not zeros or they're kaijus, it gets kind of awkward. So that's why it's the main reason we're playing mono zeros here. So the rest of the cards, all three of these cards get a BP boost if their opponent is armed. This one also has if they're power, and also has if they're basic. They all kind of got their different uses, but the main point is that this guy, the bow and arrow 0, can turn any of their opponents into armed, which BP boosts them. And if they're next to them, you can go up 2. So you could play this one by itself, and then surprise, it's essentially a triple, right? So that's like kind of the idea of the deck. The 2s are basically there to make 2 3s. So you can make a 2-3, so they're doubles, and then if the type is right, it's a triple. That's pretty much the gist of the deck. That's what it does. You try to get, ideally you get this guy on a triple because he's a whopping 18,000, but the rest of it should just be doubles, unless that's how it goes. So with that in mind, that's why we're only playing 6 level 1s. I kind of nerded out on this a little bit with doing some there's like a hypergeometric calculator, which gives basically, it tells you the odds of like how many copies you'll draw at certain ratios. So I started with 8, and then I kind of whittled it down. I was like, basically I want one of these in my hand. Like I said, I want 1 triple. So I'd ideally like to start with one of these in my hand, but after that I don't super care. I'd personally rather be making more 2-3s. So having 6 of them means that your general chance of getting one of them doesn't drop that much, and it actually has a lower chance of getting 2. And so I don't really care that I want 2. I actually prefer to have just 1. So I kind of nerded out a little bit and did some math there. So that's why we have 6 specifically. And then really the last thing to talk about for this deck, I guess it makes it kind of simple, is the scenes. First we have His Majesty's Medal. This one comes from the starter deck. And what it does is it turns any of your battle opponents for your 0, Geed, or Z type armed. So the whole deck is 0, so it turns them type armed, which will activate all three of these cards. So 10, it will activate this level 2, it will activate this level 2. So 18 cards, what's that, 18 cards in your deck, almost half your deck is activated by this scene. Which makes it incredibly powerful. So you got to play 4 of these, in my opinion. It's what makes the deck works. It gives part of the deck its kind of like signature style. And the other one is the new scene, which is Ultraman 0, Revenge of Belial. This one is an activate. You can discard it, and it gives all your zeros plus 2,000. So these 2 cards are why it's a mono 0 deck. Because you just want to get the most bang for your buck here. The reason for this card is because you'll kind of notice when you're playing the deck, if you're able to get this guy off, you kind of win. It's incredibly strong, very hard to deal with. So my thought was, this is a game where you don't get a lot of cards in hand. You're only playing one Ultra Hero that doesn't have any scene search. So your only draw cards in this deck is this one. So we should be playing 4 of these, because if I see it, and I activate it, I'm probably gonna win. So if I see it, I'm gonna kind of tailor my strategy to start playing towards it, because I think that's how it'll win me the game. So I want to see it. That's why it's at 4. And if I get multiple, I'm okay with that, because there's a lot of games where you won't get multiple and you'll just be happy to have the one. So that's the main reason we're playing the deck. The new guy, the reason for only 6 ones, and the reason for all 8 scenes, and the rest of it is like, it kind of, aside from ones that activate off armed, these guys don't really matter. This one is just, it only activates off armed. So I do want to talk about this one. I noticed when I was laying out the deck, he is type speed, which is actually pretty relevant, especially if you play, let's say like the mirror match or something a lot, or you're worried about that. You could consider bumping this up in replacement of this 0 or this 0, because if you align these guys right, this guy's not going to get the boost, this guy's going to get the boost, and so you're going to be winning there. So that's something to think about, that I just thought about, so I haven't really considered that more. I don't know what other like ultras really care about this that are we good. It's mostly just this. So if you want to edge in the mirror match, I would say actually play more of these. Maybe even you could go up like that and play 4 of them like that. Anyway, I'm kind of rambling a bit. So that's it with the deck specific stuff. I think it'd be like kind of valuable to talk through some play patterns, because unlike the Arc deck, I don't have as much like evolutions to go through for the deck. Basically, I just told you, like, I tried to play it with some secondary ultras, but it clogged it up too much. So let me move some cards, and then we'll talk about like some generic play styles, because I think there's essentially like 2 ways you can play the deck, or rather not play the deck, but 2 general approaches to a game that you can have, and learning to play the deck better will be learning like when you can go for each of these kind of different plays. So the first one is pretty simple. You're going to want to build a 000. So if I build a 000, there are, assuming this is in the first lane, there are a few options. So 1, I can play just a 3 here, and this 0 can bump this up all the way to a 17 as a surprise 17. But let's imagine that your opponent doesn't know what 0 does. That's very surprising. If they do, they're probably going to suspect something like that. So the pattern that I prefer for this is actually doing something like this. So this is a nice turn 3 setup, where you might kind of do setup like this, and you play these. And on turn 3, you're like, boom, I got this. This one will put this opponent's battle opponent to armed, so it becomes a triple. And this one, it'll bump the grade and becomes a triple. So you get 3 triples on turn 3 for like a relatively low commitment. If you see this kind of play coming together in your hand, you can try to use either of these 2 zeros as this second slot here. So this might be what your turn 2 looks like. And the reason for that is because by themselves, they have a 6,000 power, which means you're more likely to lose lead here. And if you lose lead in this spot, you get to see what your opponent's doing, and if they don't look like they can counter it, boom, 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 you get them, right? But if you take the lead in this spot, then you can do it, but they have like more opportunities to figure out, okay, he might be going for this player, or I can kind of, play a little defensive in this areas. But like, it's really hard to beat the triple in this lane. If they played a level 1 in this one, they're going to lose it, and it's really hard to contest the 18. So that's like, yeah, that's basically that. That's a kind of early game early game pressure play. You can also, sorry, excuse me. There's some other variations of this, but like this is, you know, one of the key power plays that you have. I'll also show you another trick where, say you don't have that one, or you could actually prefer to do this trick, is to play like this. So these two need to come down on the same turn, but if you play them next to each other like this, then what you can do is here, like you have this battle opponent becomes armed, so that's a triple. This one gets the power boost, so it's a double. So it's a double that becomes a triple. So now you have 18, 16, 17, but you also have a plus 2000 BP. So if you could have an 18, 18, 17. So this is like technically better for this specific turn. Or if your opponent doesn't contest here, that can be a 20. You could do 20, 16, 17, or you can do 18, 16, 19. So this is a very strong play. These two in combination is so powerful, and that's why you see me running 4 of this and only 2 of this. So important to know those plays. So this is kind of like the first play pattern of Mono Zero, if you will, is a turn 3 kill. Now there's obviously there's another play pattern which has to do with getting the scene online, because if you kill them on round 3, you don't even have round 4 to win, and round 5 when you can finally play this, you're not gonna get it. So the way that this play pattern usually works is it's a much better, or it's arguably only valuable if you have the scene, or it significantly works better, is you're essentially like, you know, gonna try to give up the first 2 lanes, and then you're gonna play 2, 3, make it with scene, like so. I'm getting lost in my own thoughts. I'm going a little too quickly. So we're just praying you play a 1 here, you play a 2, you get the scene, so you play a 2 here. That's a 10. They probably can't beat that. Then you start going doubles, 13, bump it up to 17. Then you got 16. Now you're gonna win. So the next turn you can play that one. You can go up to 17 again. Boom. Let me just make it. And then you activate the scene. And this is, you know, you might get lucky and match the types. So you're going to lose this scene, but everything's plus 2000. So you got 15, 15, 15. And that's not mentioning, like, you could be bumping up here. Maybe you ended up getting a thing here. So you basically, once you hit turn 3, like you're taking lead. This is like the taking lead strategy, where you just take lead every single turn until you win, or till you have the scene, and then you use it for like a big power play. That's like that's the second play pattern. So the first one, just a reminder, is try to go for a turn 3 kill. If that doesn't work out, or if your hand isn't quite good for it, you can go for this play pattern, which is just continually trying to take lead and then going for the scene play, something like that. So that's the quick rundown on the Mono Zero deck, at least my version of it, and how to play it. I haven't tested it enough to like super know if I want to make changes, but I think it's pretty much where I want it. The main question for me would be like if I want to play 3 scenes, because you don't really want to see it as part of 2s, and then if I am wrong about the level 1s, if you want more level 1s, you end up wanting more level 1s, and maybe you play more level 1s, because I mean, one of the disadvantages, right, of this version is that you only have like 1 level 1, so I'm probably only going to play 1 of these as a triple in a game. And but if you have extra level 1s, maybe you can kind of do like a 1-2 here, and then later in the game you have another option to do that. Yeah. And then last combo play before I forget is if you have an open level 2, you can do these 2 right next to each other, and they'll bump each other to an 18 for that turn. So you have 18, 18, and that's a super strong play. So, all right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the Mono Zero. One last thought, if you got this far in the video, thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any thoughts about mono zeros, any good pairings for zero that you guys have come up with. And for those of you still watching who are wondering, I can't get this card. You think this is I don't have access to the triple rare zeros. What can I do? What can I do about that? Can I do anything? Like, is this deck still going to work? My answer to you is it's probably not going to work quite as well for the turn 3 kills, because you could see that this is the card that enables you to easily and consistently make 3 effectively triple lanes on that turn 1. But this strategy of taking lead throughout the game, which not only will deny your opponent from playing scenes, but also kind of gets you to the later game to play this scene, will still work. You can try to implement that with a support hero like Zero, who has a scene search, who has some card draw, and also benefits from armed types. So that could benefit from the scene as well. So that's something you could look into. I don't have a specific list for you, but I don't think that this deck is totally useless without this card. I think it just takes away your option to be more aggressive as early as possible. So there's one thing I noticed when playing Zero deck let's say pre BT2, BPO2, is that you aren't incentivized to make triples at all, because making a triple with this guy is a 17 with no other effects, basically a vanilla, and it doesn't feel that strong. So yeah, I don't know where I was going with that, but this is what lets you make the early plays. If you don't have it, then you should focus more on the late game plays, and it will still be like a decent deck. You just lose out on the option. That's all. Okay, I keep saying that same thing over and over again. Thanks for watching. I'll catch y'all in the next video, and hopefully get some games out from this deck soon. Peace.